So this is a Quentin Tarantino tier list. If you don't know who Quentin Tarantino is, he's my favorite movie director, and this is like a YouTube channel where I review movies, so I should probably talk about some movies. So let's just do it in the order they have it. I'm not gonna take this as like actual ratings of the movies as much as how they compare to each other. So like all these I would give at least a C, the very least a C. But since I'm comparing them, I'm a put like my least favorite ones as a D. Just not because they're bad, just because. So Kill Bill Volume 2, I'll put that in a C. I like that one. I'm a little bit disappointed about it. Like compared to Kill Bill Volume 1, it's a lot less action. It's more story driven, but I also kind of like that. So I don't know. There's parts I like, but also just like parts where I'm like, I don't know if I like that direction they went on the story. I like how it takes chances. Like the first one is just like so action based that you think the second one would be too. So the fact that they take this big risk and make it more about the characters and the story, I appreciate that. I just wish it was a little bit more action because when the last film ended with like the bride, let's see, the bride versus Crazy Eight, like this was a fantastic action scene. I'm gonna talk about this next because why not? It kind of segues with each other. Like when you end the last movie like this with the eye coming out, and that was a good action scene. So it just feels like kind of a downgrade. I don't think there's like any action scene that lives up to that, or like any scene that's as memorable as any of the scenes in that movie. It's still a good movie. I just compare the first one, which I'll put as an A. I really like it. Just not that great. Death Proof I'll put above Kill Bill Volume 2. I actually really like this one. I feel like it's kind of underrated. Definitely like a good slasher movie. Kurt Russell, great acting from Kurt Russell. Like probably, I would say his best performance, but then there's like the Hateful Eight here, and I'm sure he has a lot of other great performances. But he does like a fantastic job as Stuntman Mike. The way he tells his lines. I'm surprised he hasn't been in more Quentin Tarantino movies outside of this and The Hateful Eight and a small part in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's a great actor. I just feel like it's not that slow because a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies are slow. I just feel like the momentum kind of like goes down halfway through. Like the first half is just this guy who's like kind of like slowly building up. And, he's talking to these girls and he's like getting to know these girls. And the first 50 minutes of the movie is just him in this bar, and it's good dialogue. I like it. A good atmosphere too. Like the grindhouse feel of it is pretty nice. And then he finally kills the girls in this amazing scene, by the way. Like, let's check it out. Like a death proof, death scene car, the car crash scene where they're like, like they're driving in the car, and the scene before it is really good too. Really good use of tension, but like this especially like this scene right here where like one of the girls is like sticking her leg out because it's a Quentin Tarantino movie because they're gonna have that. So they're all doing this, and then like well earlier in the movie, Mike says, "Hey, I have this like seatbelt that'll make sure that I don't die if I crash into you." I'm like, okay, he didn't say that, but like, so just well set up, and then he like crashes into his car and they're all like flying like crazy. It's like so over the top. It's like so great. And I'm not gonna spoil like the whole scene, but there's like the legs flying. There's a lot to that scene. I like it, but then like halfway through, it just keeps going. They introduce these entirely new set of girls. I like the like stunt action at the end, but it feels like it loses momentum. Like it spends all this time on this group of characters, and then it stops and moves on to this other group of characters. And yeah, I don't know. Django Unchained is S tier, and there's gonna be actually no Kill Bill B tier, Django Unchained A tier because we're comparing the movies to each other. We're com- comparing that. Django Unchained like so badass. Like there's a scene where like there's a rap song playing while Django Unchained is shooting people. Did I just say while Django is shooting people in slow motion? There's a rap song playing, and that should not work in a Western movie. Yet somehow it does. Like it's incredible. Just a very great movie, so rewatchable. I think it's a Quentin Tarantino movie I rewatched the most times. Yeah, just amazing. The Hateful Eight is probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, but it's tied for another film. Just amazing. I love The Hateful Eight. I don't get the hate. I don't get the hate. Like why? So many people say it's the one of the weaker Quentin Tarantino films that's so much slower and all dialogue. But I think this is the best dialogue of any of his films. Like this is the best dialogue and from a filmography known for its great dialogue. Like it's just people talking like grips you in because you don't know who's lying, who's telling the truth, who's a fake persona, who's a secret murderer. It's kind of like The Thing, but Western. I love mystery movies. This is a really good mystery movie. The last 30 minutes is, oh my god, the last 30 minutes of this film, um, the Hateful Eight climax. I don't know how you search that up. Oh yeah, the climax. So a little bit of spoiler, but at the end, this is a scene where they like hang Daisy or yeah, not that big a spoiler. Like you don't know, you won't find out that much. But it's this climax is just so crazy. Like you know, there's so funny, so many crazy scenes, and then at the end they're literally like laughing while like hanging this woman. It's just so mad, so crazy, so angry. It's really like one of the best climaxes of any film. I love it. Probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I actually I know I said I want to do a full video ranking these films, but honestly, I want to do a full video on just the Hateful Eight because there's like so much to say on its themes of racism, just like the mystery, what you miss the first time you watch it, and what you pick up the second time you watch it. Yeah, Glorious Bastards is at an A tier, mostly because of Christoph Waltz. It's a really good written movie, but the first time I watched it, I was just waiting for Christoph Waltz to be on screen. Like from the opening scene to the scene where he's like negotiating, you know, the scene where he strangles the one. Just a very intense, but also like so a very capit. I don't know why I can't talk properly today. A very cavitating. Did I just say cavitating? Captivating I'm saying wrong. A very good performance. All right, just forget I was saying anything. Just probably the best villain performance of any, probably the best villains of any movie. He was fantastic. And you know, everything is very well written. It feels like they kind of like cut out the fat and just went for this very straight, really well made story. I forgot that I should have this at F11. There now it's a lot better. And yeah, you know, just oh, presentation mode too. Let's okay. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Anyways, yeah, A tier, obviously. Jackie Brown is D tier. That's probably my least favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, and I'd still give it like a 8 out of 10, which is not bad. Like on Letterboxd, it's a 4 out of 5. That's his worst movie, then that's a great filmography, you know. And yeah, you know, I just feel like it didn't lead up to anything. Like, you know, it's a well-made movie. I like the dialogue. Samuel L. Jackson, gives a great performance here. Pam Grier, it's a really good movie. Elevated by that soundtrack, by the way. Like, this is probably one of the best Quentin Tarantino soundtracks. You know, very like jazzy, very soul. I don't know music. I'm just saying, but it's a very good, very relaxing soundtrack. Like it's very 80s chill. It has a vibe to it. The soundtrack, and you know, there's some scenes with Robert De Niro that I really liked, and you know, just seeing Robert De Niro and Samuel L. Jackson one scene. Robert De Niro gives like a very different performance from what you've seen him in. Like yesterday, I saw Casino for the first time. Really good Martin Scorsese movie, Casino. If you haven't seen it, and him in that movie versus him in this movie, completely different set of characters. Like people say that he doesn't have any range as an actor, they're crazy. Whoever says that. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm also gonna put an S tier. I can't believe people don't like this one. You know, as I look back, that scene with Bruce Lee, it doesn't bother me, but I can see how it bothers other people. But you know, again, people say it's very slow. It has a lot of dialogue, but again, I love dialogue. I love his dialogue. It's just like such a natural way of people talking. Very entertaining. Always like you know, there's always something happening, even if the plot is kind of like there's no plot to the movie. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Pulp Fiction, I'll put in. It's gonna be a hot take, but and again, I'm not saying Pulp Fiction is a C tier movie. I'm not saying it's like a 7 out of 10 or anything. It's a 9 out of 10. So I still really like it. I feel like it's a little bit overhyped. Again, it has the same problem with Jackie Brown where I feel like nothing really led up to it. There's no like scene that I look back to. But maybe the scene where like Vincent and Jules is like intimidating those guys and eating their hamburger. That scene was cool, but like there's not really a scene that I look back at and think, oh, that's cool, and that sticks with me. There's no scene in that movie that sticks with me. It's just a very well made, neat movie. I feel like everything done in Pulp Fiction has been done better in other films. So I'm just saying, like, I love it. I mean, I still think it's great. I just don't think it's the best, like a lot of people do. And Reservoir Dogs, I'll put in the top of B tier. No, bottom of A tier. Just such a well-made film. I really like it. It's a 10 out of 10. A tier and S tier are 10 out of 10s, or S tier would be 11 out of 10s. These are some of my favorite movies of all time. And Django Unchained is like very much nearing that, and even Inglourious Bastards. But yeah, Reservoir Dogs for a first time effort. You really don't like. It doesn't come across in your mind like what a low budget that film has. Like if you think about it, we never see the heist taking place. We never, because it's supposed to be that the whole LAPD is looking for these guys, but we never see a helicopter. We only like hear sounds of helicopters. We only see like one or two police cars. It doesn't really show the manhunt. We're just told that the manhunt is happening, but through its use of what it shows or what it doesn't show, the point of view, the sound effects of the helicopters in the sky, the hectic directing of the scenes where they're like running from the police. It feels like the whole city of LA is chasing for these people even though we don't see the manhunt itself. Like it's a good example of like having a low budget and still making the film feel cinematic, like it has a high budget. So yeah, um, I'm gonna do a longer ranking of this on the main channel. Not anytime soon. Don't look forward to it. I have a lot of other videos I'm gonna do before that. But yeah, one of my favorite directors. I have been seeing a lot of Scorsese movies recently, so maybe he'll edge Tarantino out as my favorite director. I still think like Spielberg is like the most influential director, but yeah, I really like his films. I think that's a good ranking. Speaking of Spielberg, I don't know why I talk like that. Let's do his movies.